What's up, guys? It's Casey Zogelman, aka the Fourth Sanderson Sister, coming at you with my first and probably only Hocus Pocus 3 speculation video. With Hocus Pocus 2 out and on our minds, the rumors have already begun about a potential third installment. Funny thing is that during an interview with CBS, Bet and Kathy both said the story has been told. And then Sarah Jessica, who joked about Bet starting rumors at the premiere of number 2, said, well, we've said bye-bye before, which led into a never say never statement from the three of them. Here's the thing. We have a really solid ending for Hocus Pocus 2, and frankly, I think that was the best way to wrap up the series. That is, until they showed a second homemade black flame candle at the end of the post-credit scene. So, once again, the door has been left wide open for the Sanderson sisters to return and take flight once more. But how in the name of all that is spooky could that even begin to work? Well, let me lay out my idea for Hocus Pocus 3 in this video, as I think this is the only way it could work. First off, I'd like to establish this quickly. We're getting the old gang back together. This is a must. We need Max, we need Allison, and we need Danny back in this franchise. However, this time we're going to let Billy sleep. Billy is getting his rest. The man's been through enough. He needs to take a nap and he will be happy. But we are not retconning the new trio out of this. The new trio is going to be important as they're going to be the catalysts for this story. Becca, now a full practicing witch, along with Izzy and Cassie, who are also starting to experience powers as they are members of Becca's coven, are shell-shocked when Becca finds out her father is marrying a new woman, the dropped character from 2, Luann. Book has been acting weird lately since Luann has moved into the house, as if he's worried about something, but Becca continues assuring him he's fine, and that he's probably just still getting used to his new surroundings. He's only been there for like a year or two, and he's been in the same house for years, so yeah, it makes sense that he's still a little weird. But she's been rather moody herself lately with, the new woman in the house, even though Luann is very interested in Becca's love of magic. She's trying to bond with her. Book is obviously kept out of sight when Luann enters the room, same with her dad, but Becca starts noticing Book acts really nervous after Luann specifically leaves. Becca spends more and more time away from the house with Cassie and Izzy at Gilbert's magic shop because she just doesn't like the new lady. She doesn't like Dad's new girlfriend. And then, in the last year, a new teacher has started at the girls' school, Miss Danny Dennison, which this was one of the things that was cut from Hocus Pocus 2. So we're just going to take that element, as well as Luann, and put them into 3. She seems really cool, but around Halloween she tends to become, much more uptight and cagey and like she's hiding something. She actually sees Becca and her friends using their crystals and such, and through what feels like a trauma response, confronts them saying they shouldn't mess with magic. They shouldn't be messing with that stuff. When asked why, Danny isn't going to give a straightforward response, leaving them rather befuddled. Also, Becca's dad is now going off on a business trip that will keep him away through Halloween, because that's important for him to not be there when all of this is going down. Meanwhile, Book is at home, chilling in Becca's room, waiting for her to come home from school, when who should walk in but Luann? Real quick, this is taking place on, October 30th. Well, it's too late for Book to hide, and if he starts floating around now, Becca would be in deep trouble, so he stays put, eyes closed tight, but he is probably starting to sweat a little bit. We hear Becca coming home, but Luann doesn't. Becca heads up to her room, greeting Book like, hey buddy, I'm home, kind of thing, but as soon as she walks in, she sees Luann cradling him. Luann turns, greets Becca, and tells her thanks for taking good care of Book for her. Her appearance morphs and changes, and her true identity is revealed to be the Mother Witch from 300 years ago, because we know she was still around because that dang bird was flying above Becca at the beginning of the movie and all 3 of them at the end of Hocus Pocus 2. Becca, freaked out and worried about Book, fires off a lightning bolt that is much stronger than we last left her, but it still barely tickles the Mother Witch. She laughs it off, blasts Becca out of the room and down the stairs, and asks her to help in taking over Salem instead of being her enemy. Becca, confused, asks her how she's even living since there was no black flame candle for her. Mother explains it's because she successfully used the Magica Maxima, and that allows her to live forever, and now she intends to rule Salem. She thought the Sanderson sisters could help her do it, but she was wrong, and kind of insults the trio. Becca, recalling Winifred's last moments, fires off another bolt, defending their name while also simultaneously being like, yeah, they're not great. Realizing Becca is the same as her failures from 300 years ago, Mother kidnaps Book, and off she goes to create her plan to control Salem, which she lets slip will commence the following day on All Hallows Eve. Becca's house is destroyed from the fight, Book is gone, and she needs help. So, she calls a meeting with Cassie and Izzy at the magic shop that same night, which, of course, Gilbert is present for. After Becca explains everything, they realize it's going to take more than just them to beat this witch. Gilbert remembers that there was a group of kids at the graveyard 30 years ago who defeated the Sanderson sisters way back when, so maybe they could help if they've hunted witches before. But without names or a general description, that's not much to go on. Cassie remembers how cagey Mrs. Dennison was acting about magic, and she makes the connection that, more than likely, she was in the graveyard that night. So off goes the new trio to find Danny, while Gilbert starts thinking of a way to stop Mother. Cobweb gets his attention and rubs his head on a box marked Black Flame Candle number 2. Gilbert exhales and goes, "Really, Cobweb? That is not a good idea." Cobweb continues rubbing his face on the box, and Gilbert says, "I hope you know what you're doing." Once the girls find Danny the evening of Halloween, they confront her about her apprehension towards magic, and that they know she fought the Sanderson sisters 30 years ago. Danny, after some deliberation, invites them in to hear them out. After Becca explains what's going on, Danny says she's no witch hunter and to look somewhere else. The girls beg for help, and right about that time, we hear the first attack on Salem ringing out a few blocks down. It's the Garden of Magic song, but it isn't Sarah Sanderson singing it. Oh, no. It is Mother. Children are being lured from their homes, causing the new coven and Danny to hurry to help. They see Mother standing in the shadows, and Becca hits her with a spell just hard enough to stop the verse. Cassie, Izzy, and Danny hurry the children to safety, while Becca tries to take Book back, unsuccessfully, as he is now back under the control of Mother, much to his chagrin. Plan thwarted, Mother retreats for the moment. Danny now agrees to help, and she says they need a couple more hands. Cut to Max and Allison, now married with kids of their own, saying no over and over when Danny asks them to help her. They want no part of this crusade. They are done with witches. They've been done with witches for 3 decades. Danny continues trying to convince them, finally pulling the "think of your kids" card. This, of course, works, and they reluctantly agree after calling one of their parents to come babysit. On the way out, Max quips that at least this time they don't have to worry about the Sanderson sisters. The 3 of them then start heading for the magic shop. But this is happening at the same time that the other thing is happening. So while Danny is off talking to Max and Allison, this scene is going on. Meanwhile, back at the magic shop, Gilbert hands Becca his second black flame candle. The new girls look at him like he's insane for wanting them to summon the Sanderson sisters again. Gilbert reminds Becca that she did Winifred a huge favor and they have a debt to repay now. Not to mention, it seemed like she had a moment of clarity. Cassie and Izzy are against this idea completely because how do they know they actually changed after that, and how do they know they're actually going to help him? Becca, though, sees where Gilbert is coming from. She says it's worth a shot and that this might be the only way to have some backup for just in case Danny and her family bail on them, which they kind of think is a possibility. Izzy and Cassie reluctantly agree, so they head back to the forest to light the candle, and bam! The Sanderson sisters are back, looking more confused than ever because they thought their curse was broken after they were reunited. Becca says hello, and while Sarah and Mary prepare to fight, Winifred stops them. She remembers what Becca and her friends did for her, let's say 2 Halloweens ago. Let's be optimistic and say it's only going to take 2 years this time. Let's be optimistic, shall we? Sarah and Mary make sure they are allies, and then as soon as Winifred says yes, they're all smiles. Everything's good. Becca tells them she'll explain everything once they get back to their old home. The 6 witches are first to arrive because the others have to wait for the babysitter. Like I said, the scene with the denizens is still going on while all of this was taking place. Gilbert, obviously worried that the sisters will curse him again, greets them apprehensively. While everyone gets settled in, the sisters start poking around to check on things. They're doing their usual thing, and it's adorable. But then Winifred sees Book is gone and turns to Becca. She asks where he is, and Becca says that that's one problem. The door opens, and in walks the denizens. There's the other problem. Winifred, Sarah, and Mary whip around at the same time, and everyone starts pointing at the other party and shouts, "You!" Before anything can happen, Becca and her friends stand in the middle, kind of like, okay. Just trying to stop anything before it happens. Danny immediately asks why the heck the Sanderson sisters are here because they're evil, to which they say, thank you. Izzy says they brought them back for backup in case the denizens decided to bail. Of course, they are pretty insulted by that remark, and they start to leave, but Cassie convinces them to stay and hear Becca out. Izzy convinces the Sanderson sisters to stand down until Becca explains. After a huddle, they agree. Becca explains everything from Book being stolen all the way to Mother being behind it. Max and Allison are not crazy about Becca being a witch too, but it made them feel better to know that there was something to keep the sisters at bay. Now, they don't know exactly how Mother plans to take over Salem, but Winifred thinks Book might hold the answer. Max, of course, scoffs, saying it's gone, and that's not going to be very helpful, but Gilbert snaps his fingers and grabs one of the replicas. He made exact copies to sell, so he hands one to Winifred to examine. She and her sisters comb the replica from stem to stern, and finally stumble upon a spell that can enslave humanity and witches. The 10 people realize they have to find a way to strip Mother of her powers, but the target must drink a special brew to make that even remotely possible. It's reminiscent of the life potion, but instead it's a power-draining potion. The group decides to head out and find the ingredients. They're splitting up into 4 teams. And by that I mean 3 teams and Gilbert. They split up, the denizens going after one ingredient, Becca and her friends going after another one, Gilbert going after another one, and the Sanderson sisters go after the last one. Max asks how they can possibly trust the Sanderson sisters, but Winifred interjects saying she owes Becca a favor. For once, they are all on the same side. Once they split off, this leads us into seeing our usual Sanderson shenanigans intercut with the other groups. We have some fun gags. This time we're going to include the bus driver as an Uber driver, and while they're off together, Mary asks if they actually plan to help these people, to which Winifred is kinda cagey. Sarah makes it known that Mother will be very unhappy with them if they chose to side with the kids. Winifred, once they're out of earshot from anyone who might be listening, explains that the potion she read out was not to drain another witch of her powers, but to increase them. They are going to help Mother as a repayment for how she helped them centuries ago. Mary and Sarah seem much more willing to help, but Sarah does bring up about how Becca helped them reunite, and she kind of feels bad, but Mary quickly adds that Mother will them if they betray her. Winifred shuts them both up, and they continue their part in the quest. Mother will be lurking around the entire time, causing problems here and there. Animatronics and declarations will come to life to attack people. Her plan is beginning to get set in motion. Hike up the fear, then use it to power the spell. She's going to capture Gilbert this time, and he's just gonna be like, not again, before becoming her unwilling sidekick. So we go through the movie, everyone going about their tasks. The denizens not trusting the sisters running amok with a song in between, the new witches hoping they did the right thing, and Gilbert being like Genie when Jafar controlled him. Antics, funny one-liners, some bonding, you know the deal. But instead of more broom upgrades this time, the Sanderson sisters are going to find their original brooms just chilling on someone's porch, so they grab them in a great opportunity for an Easter egg that the 3 kids who stole them in the first place are living in that house. There you go. The 9 group members join together back at the magic shop. The witches discovering Gilbert, the new witches, discovering Gilbert was captured, but he managed to yeet them the last ingredient before being taken away. The Sanderson sisters brew the potion, with Becca studying how they do it, because she is still learning. Once it's finished and bottled, they all set off. All of this will culminate in the final fight, 9-on-1. But as soon as Mother sees the Sanderson sisters, she calls to them, and they fly over to her side. Becca looks like she's just seen someone kick a puppy, and accuses Winifred of betraying her after all she did to help her. Winifred, of course, scoffs and brushes it off, while Sarah and Mary mock her. They unveil the potion as a power enhancer for Mother, who graciously accepts. She offers to share, but they deny, saying they only want her to enjoy the rewards as a thank you for what she did for them. Mother ingests the potion and works her spell, and suddenly all of Salem is falling under her control, including the Dennisons, Izzy, and Cassie. Sarah makes a comment about how all 4 of them will be the rulers of Salem, but Mother laughs wickedly and forces the Sanderson sisters away from her, claiming them unworthy to serve at her side. And just before Becca falls under the spell, she and Winifred share a moment of eye contact, and Winnie winks. Mother starts to feel as if she's overdone it with her magic, wondering why this is possible with her powers maxed out from the Magica Maxima. Winifred, Sarah, and Mary all start to smirk. Glowing energy begins pumping up from Mother. It was a trick. The double cross was not against the kids, it was against Mother. Winifred commands Mary and Sarah to attack, and they do. The trio of witches fly for Mother, lay their hands on her, recite the spell, and drain her magic completely. Mother's spell is lifted from the 7 on the ground, and she falls, turning to dust along the way, but the spell on Salem is too far gone. Book floats back down to Becca, who catches him in a huge hug. Allison says that now all of that magic belongs to the Sanderson sisters. What happens now? Do we have to kill them too? Gilbert asks. Becca looks up at the sisters, who are smiling at each other, and she smiles too and says, I don't think so. Winifred makes a comment about how the people of Salem already worship her and her sisters, so they technically already rule it. Mary agrees and says there's really no need to let the spell keep going. Sarah, grinning, adds that they're already idols, and why should that change? Together, the Sanderson sisters lift the spell on Salem. The people of Salem look up to see the Sanderson sisters are real and that they save them, but dawn is quickly approaching. Becca doesn't want them to go, but Winifred says they can finally rest. It's their time. One by one, each sister prepares to vanish. They will die heroes. Cassie and Izzy beg Becca and Book to find a way to save them, but Book shakes as if to say no, yet he doesn't look sad. The sun peeks up over the horizon, and the Sanderson sisters grab hands, close their eyes, and nothing happens. They're alive? The 3 of them grab themselves, grab each other, and realize they aren't dead. Everyone on the ground is gobsmacked that nothing happened to them. Sarah asks how this is possible. Mary is also confused, but Winifred feels something warm inside her. It's her soul. Then Mary feels it, and Sarah. They hover to the ground, realizing they are truly alive and well on this morning after All Hallows' Eve has ended. Becca, astounded, runs over to them and asks how. Winifred, a tear in her eye, explains that they've earned a second chance because they changed. They did the right thing. Alternately, you could just kill them. When they end the spell, they do die heroes, and the legend of the Sanderson sisters comes to a close. Really, either one works. But, there you go. That's how I think Hocus Pocus 3 could work. The way the sisters went out in 2 really means they need to come back as heroes if there's a third one. Because that was a redemption arc without doing a redemption arc. You can disagree with me if you want. But they were redeemed. They can fool us the entire time through 3, making us think they're double agents, but they have to end up being heroes. They will have to end up double-crossing Mother. And we absolutely have to have Max, Allison, and Danny back. Mother would have to be the villain to bring all 3 teams together. This is, honest to God, the only way I can see a third one even working. It's gonna be like the Avengers. Like, it's gotta be like the Avengers. Mother is Thanos, and they are the Avengers. Like, we've got to do it that way, because if they tried to do a third one without the Sanderson sisters, that'd be like doing Star Wars without Darth Vader. It just doesn't really fit, because we all saw the sequel trilogy. It was alright. But when you try to replace Darth Vader, you can't replace Darth Vader. So, it just doesn't work. Hocus Pocus without the Sanderson sisters doesn't work. That's it. But that's how I think a Hocus Pocus 3 would be able to work. What do you guys think? Do you like my idea, or do you have another idea? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are new to the channel, please remember to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't. It's free, it helps me, and what helps me helps you guys get more great content like this. But not every single day anymore, because I am so burnt out. I am so tired. I've been burning my black flame candle at both ends. I have not been this tired in a while. I will be coming back on Monday with the Easter eggs of Hocus Pocus 2. I hope. It might be something else. We'll see. Right now it's up in the air. I'm doing good to think straight. But I'll be going back to my once a week schedule because I cannot keep doing this. I have discovered I cannot be a full-time YouTuber. But I can be a part-time YouTuber and do this once a week. But it's a lot of fun. I enjoy talking about Hocus Pocus. I'm just really, really tired. And I'm really ready for a break. So there will be no upload tomorrow. I said there was going to be one Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I can't do it. I have to have a couple of days off. I haven't even gotten to enjoy this movie as just a movie yet. So I'm gonna take a couple days off and catch up on some stuff. But yeah, that's how I think a Hocus Pocus 3 could work. If you're a regular on this channel, please remember to drop a like, join our Discord, and share your thoughts on this down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Casey Zogelman, aka the 4th Sanderson sister, and I will see you witches and wizards later. I have put a spell on you.